So what's up, everybody? This is MrsTee, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Prove It by Ruben podcast, we have MrsTee. What's up, MrsTee? How are you?
What's up, Ruben? I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing amazing. So if you could, tell everyone what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
That's a lot. So my name is Tiffany. I'm the Mrs. T here in Fayetteville, basically. I'm a lifestyle blogger. I blog a lot about what I love in life, which includes local events here in Fayetteville, my faith, fashion, food, fun, all of the above. I'm also a blog and brand consultant over at tiffanyhaywood.com, where I help people build their business by building their brand.
How do I do that?
Well,
no, there's like 3 different places I want to go with that. Especially the brand portion, and we got to jump on that. But what I want to do is even before all of that, where did it all start for you? Like, when did you even find that blogging was going to be a thing in your world?
So I was at home. My husband was back and forth between training for a deployment. I had 2 kids under 2 and a preteen and no adults to talk to. So I wanted an outlet. I always loved to write. I like creative writing, poetry, journalism type writing. And so a friend of mine had a blog and she was telling me what it was a little bit. And then I was like, hey, maybe this is something I can do. I had a MySpace page. Yes, I'm that person.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I wanted something more than that. So I went ahead and I told my husband, I was like, hey, I really want to give this blog thing a try just to have like an online journal.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it started as, an online journal, somewhere for me to write and get feedback and have comments and actually conversate with other adults. And then it became more like, first it became like a friendship type situation. I had people that felt more like friends to me than the people I saw down the street because they kind of related to you more. They could understand what I was going through as a military spouse and my husband being deployed. And then came the money. That's when I realized, like, wait a minute, I can make this an income?
Right.
Why didn't anybody tell me that part of it?
Right.
And so I slowly started developing my brand. And that's always been something I was kind of good at. It just kind of came natural. I like what I like and I like to show that off. And that's basically what branding is. You take a piece of your personality that makes you who you are and you show it off.
Right.
And you show it off to the point to where people they recognize it instantly. And so that's what I started to do with my blog. I started to build it that way. I started to reach out to brands. I'm not going to lie. The first few things I did for the first couple of years was free. Like, I would just go buy a bag of Dole fresh cut fruit and just, hey, I'm going to write about this and see what they say. And then I would tag the mess out of the brand, and slowly they started noticing me. Right. And so that's how that grew, and that's how that became that. And I was able to make it more of an income than a hobby.
Right. Right. And so many people they don't want that space of where they have to work for free, right?
No.
They just want to be millionaires overnight.
No, and it is so not instant.
Right.
And I even have a post where I wrote, like, sometimes blogging for free is not only okay, but it's necessary. Because the way I looked at it, I had to blog for free to establish the fact that I knew what I was doing. Right. Because nobody's going to pay you based on, hey, I really want to get paid. Yeah. They're going to pay you based on, let me see what you can do.
Yeah, and the value that you provide.
Exactly. So what I did was I started posting the types of things I wanted to get paid for. I did them for free first. Right. And then I pushed and published the heck out of them. And then that's how I got noticed. Right.
Right. So, man, this is all like business stuff that I love to dive deep into. Before all of that, did you have any interest in writing, like maybe in middle school, high school, that kind of got you focused?
Definitely. I was that literature chick, the one who had a book in her hand all the time, walking in the walls because I was reading. Yeah, that was me.
So we make fun of the kids now with their phone.
I was the one with the book.
You had the book.
I had the book. I always had a library book.
You're the OG of that right there.
Yes, OG. Definite OG. I was the nerd girl in school. I didn't have a huge circle of friends. I always kind of kept to myself, and books were my escape. And then the words that I found in books helped me create my own world by using those same words. And I built my vocabulary. So writing has always been something that was a big part of me. I wrote when I was happy. I wrote when I was in pain. I wrote when I was confused. That was my outlet. And it still is. There's a big portion of my blog that's my faith and just my creative writing outlet. Because sometimes you just have to get the words out. Yeah. And that's just how it is.
If you could think back further and far enough where you can really see these books, which one of those books really helped you tap into the creative side? Like, when you started getting deep into the book, you started actually seeing what these characters look like, or actually started seeing the environment. Which one started really pulling at your heart the most?
Oh, that is so difficult. so difficult because there were a few, but Anne of Green Gables was a big one because I actually felt like I was Anne of Green Gables.
Right,
like I always wanted to live, and I still do. It's kind of cheesy and doofy, but like I used to ask my mom, could she find me clothes like Anna Green? And she was like, are you crazy? Like, why?
Yeah.
But I always wanted, that time period just felt so much more peaceful and like less stressful to me as a teenager. I just felt I would be happier there. I was like, I want to go run down the field and just not worry about anything. So Anne of Green Gables was a major influence on me. I used to escape into her world. Little Women kind of gave me that feeling that I could do anything because I saw a piece of me in each one of those characters. And I was like, hey, I'm a little tomboyish sometimes, but yet I can still be kind of girly. And it like gave me permission to accept all sides of who I was because I was that person. I'm a people pleaser at times. So I always was in school and I couldn't literally chameleon myself into whatever group I needed to be in or whatever clique I needed to be in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I read Little Women where I was like, I don't need to do that. Like, I can just be me.
Right.
And if you like me, you like me. If you don't, we weren't meant to be anyway.
Right.
So it brought me there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you started picking up a pencil for yourself and you actually started writing and it said, you know, your good times, your bad times, did you ever kind of go off into building maybe this fictional story? Did you ever start writing anything that had...
My poetry was more fictional and whimsical and magical and like, you know, creative.
Yeah.
But when it came to stories, I kind of stuck to my life and I kind of took my life and I would put it in a different person's viewpoint, like not mine, but okay, so I'm living it in this moment, but what about how did that person see it from their perspective? And so that's how I would write when it was about my life. But my poetry and stuff definitely was like fairies and magical unicorns and stuff like that. Yeah, because I went to an all-girls Catholic school in the Bronx.
Fun.
Tons, right? I was that chick who would like get out her mom's car and then roll her skirt up real quick. That was me. So all girl Catholic school in the Bronx. I was only like one of maybe 5 African American students. Everyone else was either Irish because that part Yonkers, it was borderline Yonkers Bronx. It was either Irish or Puerto Rican. So and they look at me and thought I was Puerto Rican. So I was the one that they would walk up and I'm like, I'm sorry, I have no clue what you're saying. Right. I'm not that person. So I lived in that world and I had a teacher. We had literature class back then. Like it wasn't English or reading. Like I look at my kids' schedules. I'm like, you don't have literature? How do you not have literature? So we had literature class, and she brought us those the books that were like thick and it's like 600 pages, and this is your book for the whole semester. Like you're gonna read this book. Exactly. Like, oh, and she was that teacher. I love her to this day because she sparked that desire in me to go beyond maybe what the words on the page said and to try to see what the author was actually feeling. And so she would give us like a chapter a week, but we couldn't just read the chapter. We had to develop a story from within it for ourselves and then write from our own perspective. So she kind of did that for me. And so now when it comes down to my blog and when I try to review things, I know how to bring my perspective into things. And with blogging, a lot of it is storytelling, and brands tend to come to you more when you can weave yourself into their stuff naturally. And I think a lot of that came from my literature days in high school and learning how to put myself into a story.
What was her name? Let's just give her a quick shout out. Do you remember?
No, I just know she had red hair.
Yeah?
She had red hair. Irish? Yeah. Half of my, they were nuns. Half the teachers were teachers and half of them were nuns. And she was actually a teacher, like she wasn't a nun, but she had like this bright orangey red hair. And that's like the biggest thing I remember about her was her hair.
Did you ever share any of your personal stories with anybody in school?
In school? In 6th grade, now this teacher I do remember, Miss Edelstein. Again, it was Catholic school, but it was like middle school time. And she was our art teacher. But she also gave us like, they had like a mock guidance counselor type situation. So she told us to start journals. And that was when I started writing my own stories in my journal writings. And I actually started writing feelings that I was scared to voice. But somehow it was easier to put them on paper than it was to actually say to somebody. is kind of weird. But so she was our art teacher and she did that. So I still have stacks and stacks of composition books that were my journals from 6th grade. And like, I look back at them now and I'm like, child, you were so stressed about like nothing. But like, to me in that moment, of course, it was like end of the world.
Yeah.
But getting that stuff out on paper, and she became like my sounding board. Mrs. Edelstein was like my best friend ever. And she understood me in a way that I didn't think I could understand myself. And she used to combine the art with the journaling. So one time she had us do this project where we had to make paper mache masks. But she wanted us to make the mask based on a journal topic she had given us about the person within me. And the journal topic, so the mask.
You still have it?
The mask?
You should have wore it today.
I don't even know if I have it. I think it got destroyed and I'm so sad about that. But the mask was the person within me, and she wanted you to reveal the hidden side of yourself, basically. Whoa. So first you had to write, of course, the journal topic, and then she wanted you to make a mask to match up with it. So my mask was my face, but then I was the only one who actually made a dual layer mask. So I had my face, and then I had it open up to like what was on the inside. So the outside of the mask, and I cut it like down the middle. So the outside was like all smiley and happy, and then the inside I had like painted like storms and. So she cut deep. I don't even know if she knew how deep she used to get to us. Yeah. And all of us felt that way in that class. And I remember she left when we were graduating from 8th grade. And I think I was more upset about her leaving than the actual graduation part. Cause I was just like, oh my God, you can't, I need you forever. Like, what am I gonna do?
Wonder how many people put on a mask to make the mask. Meaning like they wanted to add... They really wanted to put their emotions, the stuff they've went through, but they were worried about what other people would feel about them. And they literally put on a mask for their mask.
It's possible. I mean, and it happens. And
I could see me doing that in a way. That's why I say that.
And I'm still that person. I'm still that people pleaser deep down inside. And for me, the struggle every day is not to put on the mask.
Right.
It's to just be me. Like, I know a lot of my followers and a lot of my viewers, they're like, oh, you're the Mrs. T. You're like happy all the time. But that, that is more or less the mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like a lot of people, when I tell people I'm an introvert, they think like, yeah, right, stop lying. But like, honestly, I am.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. So for me, the Mrs. T part, I always tell people it's like my Sasha Fierce. You know how Beyonce, like that's her stage person? Right. That's who the Mrs. T. It's me, but it's just the public version of me. Because if you really knew me, you would know I'm not that super social. I need to recharge after like a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's like a dual type thing.
Do you find that, you're doing a video on Instagram or anything like this, do you find that it's kind of an accountability piece for you to see the best side of whatever you just got into? Or maybe something bad happened, but you do a quick video and you want to show that positive side. So it's a little bit of accountability to show the positive side of anything that happens?
Sometimes.
Or am I just digging?
No. Sometimes. Because, okay, perfect example. Yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was Monday. So Monday I went to the hairdresser or whatever, and people might not know this about me because I'm really snarky and sarcastic, and I can be a little bit of an itch at times. Like, I just have that quick, my family is just like that. Like, we're real quick and like, don't cross us kind of thing.
That northern style, like,
really
quick.
Yeah. Like, I have it in me, but I'm just not, I don't always show it.
Right.
And so I had gotten up like 7 a.m. for an 8 o'clock appointment. I'm sitting there early because I'm always early. And I'm waiting my turn for the door to open. And this lady tried to could jump in front of me. And I'm on Instagram going, okay, today is not the day. And I'm not that person right now. I'm like, I'm not trying to hear this. She tried that. And we're going to see how far she gets because I'm not doing it. And then I posted it. And then I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't like
That's what
normal, hey guys, I'm like downtown, just doing and like I was so close to deleting it, and then I was like, you know what? But that's what I was feeling, and I was ticked, and I was mad, and she shouldn't have tried to cut me. And I'm like, I think you have to show both sides of who you are because nobody can follow perfection because nobody can achieve perfection. So if I'm always presenting this perfect side of me, it's not real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sense.
And so I literally stood, like, watched it back a couple of times to make sure, like, it wasn't too snarky or too whatever. And then even at the end of it, like, as I was saying it, I was like, so guys, am I wrong? Do you guys think I'm wrong? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think I'm wrong.
Right.
And then I had comments, and one person said, well, you were being petty. And another person was like, well, yeah, you were a little wrong. But then most of the comments was like, oh, no, she didn't. And you should have. So I'm like, okay, it's not just me. So obviously I'm not alone. So that's how I had to reassure myself. Like, you're not the only person who either has a bad day or gets a little annoyed at people.
Right.
And it's allowed.
Yeah.
And if you show it, okay, that's just who you are.
Exactly. And when you start doing something like that, you start attracting the people you want to be around anyways, right?
Exactly.
And showing that real side, like the one person who says snarky, maybe that's not really, like, maybe we're not such a good fit in a lot of situations, and that's okay.
And that runs back to my thing where I have several mantras, like I say in my head all the time to try to reassure myself. One is, if it's for me, if it's meant for me, it'll be mine.
Right.
And then the other is, whoever's meant to be around me will be around me. If you don't like me, then okay.
Right.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm still okay with you, but we can just go our separate ways. It's
right.
all right. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
And that in itself was a huge step for me, because I used to literally feel like it was the end of the world if someone didn't like me. Like, I ranked myself based on how other people approved of me or not. And I had to get to that point where I was like, you know what? It's whatever. So, yeah. So that's interesting. So I know that you see it that way. Mm-hmm. And when you're consulting on the brand side, when you're consulting business on the brand side, does it count or discount the brand when someone agrees or disagrees with some of the stuff that they're doing? Like, they kind of have to scale and gauge their likability. Exactly. So how do you work? Well, a lot of, if one of the things that I say when I talk to clients is, find that thing that makes you unique and build on that, because that's actually going to end up being your greatest asset. Right. And I even tell brands, like, I say it to myself as a person, but as a business and a brand, the clients who are meant for you are going to be for you. Every client is not meant to be yours, and that's okay. Right. I mean, I've had several situations where I've had a client that was working with me, and I just knew it, like, we are not syncing. You know what I mean? Either it was just a difference in views or a difference in style of work. And I would say, you know what? I don't think I can do this for you, but I know someone who can. Right. And I would just kindly move them on to the next person. And that's okay, because everyone is not meant to work with everyone. There's a reason why there are so many different businesses in the same field. There's a reason why there's so many different consults and people who work things. It's because you have to work together and you need to sync out. Right. So if we don't sync out, it's not a bad thing. We can just move on. If your brand doesn't reach to every single person in the world, that's fine. It'll reach the ones it's meant to, and those will be your loyal customers. Those will be the ones who will stand by you, ups and downs, thick and thin. Yeah, and how easy is it for that business to attract more people like them when they're only being raw and real and true to themselves? Exactly. And it takes so much more effort to be fake than it does to be real. Yeah. Like, and I found that out the hard way in high school and stuff, when I was trying to be that chameleon girl who could fit into every clique. I was so tired. Like, by the end of a school day, I would just be like, oh my God, I just can't. I don't even want to go to school tomorrow, because I was trying to fit in with everybody. Right. And I was trying to be everybody's best friend. And my husband says it now, like, he'll go, well, now I think of it differently, but now he'll go, I can hear you talk different around certain people. And I'm like, sometimes that's because of where I am. Like, as a business person, sometimes you do need to adjust to the setting or to the situation. Yeah. But I'm not that girl who changed my entire personality to fit in with somebody else. Right. Now, yes, I can speak the legalese if I need to, or I can speak, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I know how to say what I have to say, but I'm not going to change who I am at my core. Yeah. So what would you say to the person that is a young me? Right. So when I first got into real estate, and that was going to be my gig, I covered up all my tattoos. It was a collar, a tie. I wanted to look sharp, and it wasn't ever really me. Right. This is more me. And by the way, I was doing coachings and consulting today, but they've gotten to know me through time. But in the very beginning, what do you tell that person? Do you kind of tell them that they have to, in a way, fit the mold in order for them to... I never say that. No? No, not anymore. Only because from experience in myself doing that. Right. That first impression is the most lasting impression. True. So if you give a fake appearance or a facade of who you think, they're going to know that's not who you are.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have
That's a clip-on tie. What do you...
Yeah, and you're going to have to struggle to maintain that because if you're this person
100%.
when they meet you and then they hire you or whatever and 2 weeks down the line, you pop out and you got 50 tattoos, they're going to be like, so what was that about? You know what I mean?
That's true, man.
So it's better to just be who you are and let them accept you at that point. And if they don't, brush the dust off your feet and move on to the next person because that wasn't meant for you.
Agreed.
That's the way I see it.
Agreed. So what would you, because I mean, there's so many right to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lady that was in real estate, had a full sleeve, and I was like, do you feel a little uncomfortable? Like
she no, was like, do you?
Yep. She was like, no.
Should I?
I just want to work with people that accept me for me.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, me too, totally. You know?
I don't know what I was going to think. But you know what the thing is,
but it took time for me to really kind of get into that world and
where that
be okay
mindset
with it.
Where you're fine with it. And the thing is, though, there are also on the flip side of that, if you look at it as from a client perspective, there are some clients who are full sleeves, tatted, face tattoos or whatever, and they feel awkward going to the guy in the suit.
100%.
So maybe that's your target.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So think about it on every side of it. Every time I look at a brand or a business, I want to find their unique audience to go with their unique style.
Right.
I mean, like I have tats and people look at me like this one, if I turn my arm in, a lot of times you don't notice
that was
it.
Smooth. Look, you did all that work and then I say
all that and then we call you out on it. But like if I turn my arm in, nobody notices this one. But a lot of times when they do finally see it, they're like, oh, either I get the, oh, I didn't know you had tats like that.
Right.
Or I get the, oh, shoot, that's cool.
Right.
So it's just like whichever way it falls. Right. Either way, I'm still me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what I end up finding out as well, and tell me if you agree with this, is that it doesn't really matter because it's only the value that you bring in that conversation that they're truly there for anyways, right? They're not really there because you got a tattoo or not.
Exactly.
I mean, I've showed up to so many of these meetings where people do have the ties and I'm not. But I'm very confident in what I have to bring and the value's there and no one sees the tattoos.
And that confidence is what makes a difference. Right. Because I learned that too. If you walk in there already feeling like, oh, I'm going to be kind of standing out or whatever, they sense that, they feel that, and then that's when they notice whatever it is you feel uncomfortable about. Right. But if you walk in there completely confident, like, yeah, what's up? How you guys doing? Nice tie. Yeah. Then it's totally different reception, totally different way that it's perceived. And like I said, my husband, he'll make fun of me now because sometimes when I'm getting ready for certain stuff, I'll go, okay, I need to dress up a little bit for this one. For sure. But the thing is, I always throw in my own little wonky side. Right. Like I'll have like total girl pantsuit or whatever and then throw in a pair of wingtips, patent leather wingtips, because that's me. That's my personality. Or I'll have on like jeans or whatever. Or one time I had like a full on fancy formal dress and a pair of Chucks. Yeah. Because that's me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I always have to have or it makes me feel more confident when I always have that little piece of me there that I know is still there, even if I have to dress for an occasion. Right. Because my husband, he'll say, I'm not going to conform to these people and I'm not going to, and I'm like, okay, but if you know you're going to a formal event and you show up in jeans and Jordans, that's not necessarily conforming. It's just making yourself like stand out completely for no good reason. For sure. Now, if I stand out and it's for a good reason, that's fine. So like if I know I'm going to a formal event, I'll go formal, but you're going to see my pink and black Chucks under there somewhere. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I keep that piece of me so I can stay true to me, even if it's just on the inside. I know I'm still there. Right. So somebody sits down with you. They want a branding consultation. Yep. Is that the first, what's the first thing that you talk to them about? I try to get to know them. I honestly don't ask anything about your business offhand. Me neither. I just talk about you as a person because that gives me a better sense of you as a business. Got it. I think, and I tell this to my clients, people fall for and feel loyal to and drawn to people before products. Yep. So if they can get to know you as a person, your product will just fall right behind it. Right. Right. Yeah, there's a saying that goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Exactly. Right. And then how can they be vested to the product or service if they have no idea who you are? Exactly. They got to get to know you first. So that's awesome. That's really cool. So after that meeting, you get to know them. You know that you're a good fit now, right? Yeah. Like you're like, I want to work with them too. Yeah. What does that next meeting look like? Like, what are some hints that you can give some of the listeners to kind of get their branding almost started. Almost as if they were here today, like an imaginary virtual consultation. And you're kind of like doing a quick mastermind on the second conversation, because obviously listeners, they're going to have different viewpoints and different
who they are or whatever. What's that second meeting look like? Kind of mastermind and give these people some value, some stuff that this should be
no pressure at all, Ruben. No
Zero.
Pressure. No pressure. So that second meeting would most likely be more where I get into the details of the actual business and or brand. So I go through fonts and colors and different styles and graphics and what's your feel? Are you more casual? Are you more formal? And I go through that stuff, and then I say, okay, but now we need to actually look at your audience, because building your brand is not always about building who you are just to show that off. You also have to cater into that or factor into that who your audience is actually going to be. So if I know my audience is millennials, then I need to factor in something that will draw them. If I know my audience is more the older generation, then I might not go the same route.
Right.
So my second session would be more on focusing in on those small details and finding out exactly who you want to reach. How do you want to reach them? Are you willing to share more of yourself? Because there's a lot of brands and businesses who don't want to be the face of their business. They just want their product sold.
Right.
And the product is front and center. They don't want to be any parts of it. I don't recommend that. But there are businesses who are there like that, and they're like, no, just put my logo up there. That's good. I don't want to be there.
Right.
But even in that case, I still need to have a sense of who you are, because if you're going to walk away and maintain this brand, it has to be true to who you are, or it's going to be too difficult for you to keep up.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I went to the that 10X Growth Con with Grant Cardone's little big event. And there was a guy showing me some of his products. It was like workout equipment. And he showed me the website. And I was like, I scrolled down a little bit and it was just workout equipment. And I was like, how am I attracted to who you are right now? Like, I can easily go to any website and see the same stuff. How am I attracted to your mission? How am I attracted to
what's
your
vision?
What's
unique and what makes you stand out?
Yeah.
Because I've seen sites and I've reviewed sites, and there's no... Now, you don't have to call it an about me, but somewhere on there should be something about you.
Yeah.
Either your why, your purpose, your passion, or your goal. Something that tells me why you're actually doing what you're doing. Because if not, like you said, I can go to Amazon and get a generic product without having to find out about the person at all. But what's going to make me click your personal site versus just looking it up on Amazon? Right. The only difference between you and Amazon is you. Right. So I need to know you at some point.
So... in this quick mastermind, one, like if we were to give the top three, one is definitely share your story and who you are and what you believe in. What would be the second part?
The second part would be...
And I know this is because it's kind of individualized as well.
Yeah,
this is a little broad, you know?
But the second part would be to be flexible.
Okay.
Because a lot of brands and businesses... You get that this is my business plan. This is how I'm going to do it. These are the steps I'm taking, and that's that. And then when circumstances change, your audience changes, situations get different, you're still, this is my plan. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's that. Yeah. And so you end up killing yourself because you're unwilling to bend or form or to make any changes. Yeah. So my second thing would definitely be to be flexible. Be aware of what's happening around you within your demographics, within your community, within that business frame that you're in. Recognize what's going on. If you see something start trending. Now, I'm not one who says follow the trends because they're trends for a reason. They're going to stop. Like it's going to happen and it's going to fade away. Yeah. But pay attention though, because there may be a way for you to jump on that or weave it into a way so that you can ride that train for a little while and get the benefits from it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely would say be flexible, because even myself as an example, when I started my blog name was MrsTee Love Life Laughter. It's a mouthful. Not to mention my domain was like a whole line. Yeah. And
like, what's the acronym to that?
Yeah. Like, so what's the shortened version? And it wasn't good for an elevator pitch. If I went up to a brand, I was at a conference one time and we had 30 seconds to tell them like what we wanted from them or whatever. And the guy was like, well, what's your site? And I was like, MrsTee Love Life. Like halfway through, I already saw him like done. Like he wasn't even there anymore. And I was like, okay. And it was in that moment, I was like, all right, I need to rebrand. Yeah. I need to change something. So that's when I became TheMrsTee, because I'm like, it's short, it's quick, it's to the point. Yeah. It's a concise hashtag. I can elevator pitch it. When people say, what is TheMrsTee? I was like, it's everything that's about me. Life, lifestyle, fun, food, faith. Like I can get it out and I can get it out quick and to the point without a mouthful of words. But if I was so strict and stuck on my business plan, I'm MrsTee Love Life Laughter no matter what. I don't care. I would still be back where I was like 6 years ago, because you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to bend, even in your graphics and your styles. My website used to look like a MySpace page, because when I started, that's what was popular.
Right.
But I had to rebrand that and change that look, because now websites are more clean and concise and a little minimalistic. So I had to change a little bit. It's still me, but I had to be willing to change some things. Right.
What are some questions? Yeah, I get. What are some questions you would ask them for them to self-realize that they need to change if they don't necessarily want to change? Because we know it's a mindset thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
So like,
because so if they're a business or a brand, I would say, well, how engaged are your customers in your audience? How many comments do you get on your Facebook page?
Right.
When you post content, do people actually return? Do they interact? Do they share? Because that's a big signal as to whether or not you need to change some things up. If you're posting consistently and you're following all the rules, but you're still not getting that engagement, there's something there that needs to get changed.
Right.
And so that would be my next set of questions. Like, okay, so if you don't feel you need to make any changes, let me see how many people are commenting on your post.
Yeah.
And what are you actually talking about in your post? Because a lot of people, when I do Facebook workshops and intensive Facebook things, a lot of what I do is look at their content and see what they're actually posting and which ones are getting the most engagement. Because if you're just saying, well, I'm going to post Tip Tuesday and I'm going to post Woman Crush Wednesday and I'm going to post, but nobody's paying any attention to it because you're just one of a million.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to twist that around and find something else to do because it's not having an impact.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
that would be the next set of questions.
Exactly, because it sounds like they're tied up in emotion at the moment, and you just showed like the logic side.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what you have to do because when you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, it's not just a business to you. It's your passion.
100%.
And it is an emotional part of you. So if I'm consulting with someone and I know that that's something that they feel, I don't talk to that side of it. I talk to the money side of it.
Yeah, because you won't win.
Yeah, so I'm like, let's see where your results are.
Right.
Because then that turns off that emotional side of it, and they're like, wait, okay, maybe this has that change because my dollar signs just dropped a little bit.
Yeah, and then you could you roll it right back into emotions? So like once you say, so if you got more interaction and you got more eyeballs, would you make more money? And if the answer is yes.
And if you make more money, then you can actually do more of what you love. You can put your passion into it. You can do this. And it's all tied back in together.
Okay, it makes
sense. All right, maybe I need to change a couple of things.
Sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, believe it or not, consulting and working with someone it's a lot of psychological, like you have to seriously be in tune with where they are, where they want to go, and even where they've been. Because a lot of when I ask people, I'm like, so what did you do before this? And how did you get here kind of thing? The same way you did with me at the start of the podcast. Knowing who a person was helps you find out who they are and who they can be. So it's all tied together.
Awesome. You got that. Okay, cool. Awesome. So what would be the third drop of knowledge that you would, on the branding side? We got quick mastermind, pure broad knowledge, but the third part.
So the third part would be think ahead. You definitely don't want to think just for today. So when you're building your brand and you're building your business, think about where things may happen 5 years down the road. So like when I did my MrsTee Love Life Laughter, I wasn't necessarily thinking ahead, but when I did the MrsTee, I did. Because when I went ahead and did my LLC and I got everything in order, I knew I wanted to keep it specific enough that it was me and broad enough that I could expand it if I wanted to. Right. So now that I've started doing consultations and other things, I can still fit it under that umbrella because I thought ahead.
Right.
If I went too nichey, I would have locked myself out and caused myself a few problems further down the line.
Right.
So that would be my third tip. Think ahead and think further than where you are right now. Try to figure out what you want to do down the line.
Yeah, that's a good point. If the business that I can think of right now that's kind of backpedaling right now is Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yeah, because they're trying to get rid of donuts because they want to leave themselves open for other stuff.
Yeah, like coffee and like a bunch of other things that they offer.
Exactly.
But you think donuts when you hear Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes, and like my kids even noticed it because they just built one and it just says Dunkin', and my kids were like, "What happened to the donuts part?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're trying to rebrand, obviously."
They're rebranding. You know what's cool on the other side of that is people are talking about it. I just talked about it.
Yeah, so, they're sparking an interest and it's causing conversation, which is good. But you want to make sure as a business you try to think a little bit beyond, because
Right.
you don't want to box yourself in, and you don't want to have to backpedal, because that just keeps you from doing stuff you could be doing to move forward.
Right.
Instead, you're trying to
Right.
repair and recover.
Dude, and money,
and fix.
Imagine all
Exactly.
the signage that
Yes.
they had to replace. And
Yes,
like, good
and to
gosh.
switch things up. And like when I switched to the MrsTee, like now if I do an elevator pitch, or if someone asks me, so what is Does MrsTee? I'm like, it's a lifestyle blog. It's basically all about me, faith, fun, food, but I always have room to add anything else I want in there.
Right.
Because it's literally about me.
Right.
And some people, I've had one business, the guy asked me, the representative, he was like, it's all about you. So what does that mean? And I was like, it means whatever I want it to mean. No person is one facet.
We're not a good
right?
fit. I'm out of here.
No, no, but I knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to like, well, so what is that?
Right.
But I told him, I said, just like you are not just one-sided, neither am I. So
Right.
that means today I can talk about movies, tomorrow I can talk about fashion, the next day I can talk about food, because I'm a full person. I don't
Right.
have just one area of interest.
Right.
And he was like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he expected me to come back with it, but I was kind of prepared for it,
Of course.
because I know I thought it out. And
Right.
that was the reason I thought it out, because I knew brands want to know what they can actually do with you, because sometimes bloggers niche themselves so much. Like, say if I name my blog The MrsTee's Food Exploits, and then I decide I want to write about a trip to Germany, where does that fit in unless I only write about the food?
Right.
So I didn't want to box myself in like that. I wanted to make sure I left it open enough so that I could pretty much write and share about whatever I felt like.
Right.
So that was part of that plan ahead, think ahead.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think that's super important, you know? So what would be one thing that they should avoid on the brand side?
Avoid trying to be like everybody else. Be whoever you are and be it to your best ability. Because when you try to duplicate what someone else is doing, it's working for them because it's meant for them.
Right.
But when you try to duplicate, it's just going to be difficult to keep up. It's going to be hard to maintain because it's not true to who you are.
Yep.
So don't try to duplicate the success somebody else has. That's not yours.
When I'm working with somebody and they get a little of a scarcity mindset of, is someone else going to take this idea?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, here's the deal. If somebody wants your idea or whatever, they're going to take it. But here's the deal. You move first, they move second.
Mm-hmm.
By definition, they will always be behind. Don't stress that. Let's just
and you know
keep
what?
moving
I've
forward.
had that happen. I've had someone take an idea I had and somewhat manipulate it to fit them. But then at the same time, the way I saw it was, okay, but you can't deliver it the same way I can.
Oh,
you didn't create it with the same purpose I had. You don't have the same passion I had behind it. So it will never be completely yours. It's still mine. And even if as I move forward in what I'm doing, everyone will know this is who I am because it always has that The MrsTee stamp to it. And that's part of branding.
What is it? The Mrs. L?
What?
Is that the next bit? Is that the other person trying like, dang, like you were for sure trying to copy me.
No. But I've actually, and I've had a couple people with a name like close to me and I'm like, I see you. You know what I mean?
I'm watching you.
I see what you're doing. But the thing about branding is if you do it right, nobody can imitate it because the first thing people will think about is you.
Right.
If you have your branding on point and if you actually make it so much a part of who you are that they can't relate it to anybody else.
Right.
And that's what I try to teach small businesses and different people and personal, like even personalities as a blogger. If you make that brand so much a part of who you are, no one else can duplicate it. And anytime someone sees it, they automatically relate it to you.
Exactly.
I came in today and my backpack is pink and black. And the owner of the shop was like, you had to get that, didn't you? Because they all know pink and black. That's me. It's just like they automatically associate it. And that's a good thing. And I love it because that means I'm doing something right.
Right. 100%. 100%. If someone if they had two choices, one's brand, one's blog, first time entrepreneur, starting to get into the game, don't say both. Which one should they focus on first?
Brand. Build your brand and then build your business. If you build your brand first, then you'll have content for your blog. Then you'll have something to actually share. Then you'll know who you are. It's the same way like when I said when I was in high school and I was that people pleaser and I was trying to fit into every clique. I didn't know exactly who I was and therefore nobody else did either.
Right.
All those people that I thought were my friends were more like associates because they weren't getting the real me.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand or a business and you haven't actually established who you are as a brand or a business and you're just out there, nobody's actually getting to know the real you yet.
Right.
So you have to know who you are before you can share that with somebody else.
Have you ever wrote a blog on branding?
I have a couple on branding.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
And then just real quick, what website would they be able to go to check that out and read upon it?
Okay, so if you want to find out tips for branding, the section is called Build Your Brand, and it's on TheMrsTee.com, TheMrsTee.com, and just check in the menus and click for tech, and then underneath the tech, it'll be a drop down and it'll say Build Your Brand.
Got it. Because I work with some people, and when it gets to blogging, I have no idea. I have no idea. So
well, I even did a full workshop on blogging for your business.
Yeah.
Because some brands and businesses can actually benefit from a blog because it gives you that platform to give customers and consumers and your audience a bit of insight that they might not get from just looking at your website and just glancing at products.
Don't even look
and
at
stuff
my
like
website.
That. Don't tell me that.
I literally
I'm gonna go home and go click and like, what's Ruben doing over here?
I'm tell me all the gaps, right? But like, I just send everybody to my Facebook page for right now. I know.
Your Facebook page is not your brand page. I am just telling you.
I know. I'm screwing this up.
You're sending all my little brand things like, warning.
Yeah. But if you want to definitely check it out and just like tell me what I'm doing wrong, I'm open to that.
But your Instagram presence is amazing and you're consistent on your brand. You are proven by Ruben. So that's a good thing. Like I'm giving you like a mini consult. My apologies.
No,
unrequested advice right now. So like all of that, your branding is there.
Right.
So if you want to move on to the side where you actually build a blog or build a storytelling platform, that could be your next step. But your branding is on point. Everything there is there.
Right.
It's just a matter of organizing it to a point where it's easy access for your consumers and your audience.
Right.
Because say you don't have an audience who's on Instagram. What if they're that person who likes to go to a website and see stuff? If they don't know that how big you are on Instagram and they go to your website, they might make their first judgment on that and never get over there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I also teach consistency. Make sure you're consistent across your platforms.
Right.
If you're super present over here, try to balance it out and be present over here as well.
So what do you, and because I'm one of those, what do you tell the person who says, I just don't have time for a blog?
You do have time. For a blog or to brand? For a blog?
No, for blogging. Yes. Because I guess my like hack in the blogging was just reading a book, writing my own notes, putting it on there, adding a picture of the book, and adding an Amazon link.
Dude, that looks like a what is it?
What was it? I don't know what I'm doing.
The short note, like what were those yellow books that you used to, the Cliff Notes version? So you would just give people a Cliff Note of the book you just read?
Yeah, because what I found was every time I was in a book club, like I would go hit the internet and find the
Cliff Notes version. Dude, you are not that person, are you?
I squeeze time. Like anything I could do to squeeze.
I got you, but dang, sometimes you miss the subtle nuances of a book.
Look, I'm talking to the wrong
wrong person on that.
Not all books, but there was a few in the very beginning. Especially.
Are you the one who like scans the table of contents
no,
and just goes to?
There was, what books was it? It was a few books that I got into a book club and I was like, crap, I didn't even like prepare or nothing, and then here we are. Everyone come with your notes. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Here's my Cliff Notes version.
Yeah. I'm deep into books now, like Audible style, but not reading.
Okay.
But going back.
There's something about like a book in your hand. Like I have the Kindle Fire and all that other stuff. There's just something different about a book in your hand. I guess you have to be that person who like truly, truly loves books. And I guess I am that geeky nerd. I'm still a nerd on the inside.
Oh, me too, man.
So, but there's always time for anything you truly want to do. If you have a passion for something, you'll find a way to get it done. The same way you were telling me, like, you squeeze every second out of a day. Yeah. I know that about you because I see your Instagram stories. I'm up at like 4:45, 5 o'clock, and you're still already like out the door. Yeah. So I know you squeeze every moment out of a day. And I always say, like, I need more than 24, which is why I get up super early. Because if I get up late, I feel like I wasted part of it. Yeah. But there's always time for what you actually want to do. Yeah. Now, when it's not something you want or you don't have a passion for, it's super easy to be like, I just can't. But if it's something you want, you'll make a way. And for blogging, it doesn't have to be like a 3-page essay. Right. Blogging is literally sharing your thoughts in a way that relates and can be related to by someone else. So as long as you have a a theme that someone can follow through the content, and you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just the basics of writing. But nobody's saying you have to be like the next Nobel Peace Prize winner. You just need to have a way to get your thoughts across to that person, and to make it relatable.
Gotcha.
So, and the way that I say to blog is write it in your true voice. Don't try to be this grammatically correct. Now, even though I'm a literature nerd and geek and like, yeah, I did grammar or whatever, I write in my voice. And I think that's the biggest compliment anyone has ever given me. When they meet me in person, they're like, you actually talk like your blog. Right. And I love that, because that's the way I try to write. I want to write just like if I'm talking to you person to person. That's how I want to write. Now, of course, you want to make commas in the right place. That's what Grammarly is for. Like those little apps and stuff that'll put your commas where they're supposed to be. But other than that, I just write as I speak. I write what I think and I write what I feel. Right. Even if it's about a brand, a product, or anything like that. I even wrote a post on how to write a bad review. Because every product you get as a blogger is not going to be great.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. There's a way to write it.
You don't just write, this sucks.
No, you don't just write, this sucks. Because you still want to keep that relationship there. But there's a way to say, like, hey, it wasn't the greatest. Here are the things I think they can. The way I said in the post is basically make sure. I had an aunt who's like a southern aunt from Virginia. And she used to say, you can call someone a dog if you say it right. So if you had a bad product, coat it in the good things. Find some of the good things.
Call me a dog. Call me a dog in a good.
No, this was an aunt who was a pastor of a church, and I used to watch her tell someone off, and they would walk away and smiling and think they. And I'm sitting there going, she just totally read you. Like, what is wrong? But she was like, sweetie, you know that skirt, it's beautiful, but it probably shouldn't be that short. Yeah. And I would just be like. You just call her a slut, basically. And the girl's like, and just walking away. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a skill I need to learn. But
you know, I'm going to be listening to our conversations a lot deeper now. Like, she's
like, I wonder what she was trying to say.
What is she trying to say right now? But yeah. So back to the bad review. How do you do that? So
with the bad review, I just make sure there's always at least one good thing. I mean, there has to be. Right. If there is not. Like, God forbid I get a product that is just bad. Before I write that review, I reach out to them and I say, hey, listen, this is what happened. So this was not a good experience. I don't want to say anything bad. So here are the options. I can either not write anything at all. We can try to fix whatever went wrong, or we can just simply part ways. Right. 9 out of 10, I've had brands try to fix whatever it was. It could have, like, everybody has a bad day, even businesses. It could have been shipping went wrong, or something was just not, they had the wrong person on customer service that day. So most times they'll try to fix it. And then I just give them another chance, and I'll write a review based on that second experience. If I can't go that route, then I take the positive things I can find in the product. I highlight those and then say, I do suggest that maybe you don't do this, or maybe you don't do that. And I still try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Right. And that it's a business and it's run by a human being, and there are bad things that happen.
Right. That's a good way. And it sounds like there's almost a negotiating piece in there. Like, hey, listen, I don't want to put you on blast.
Mm-hmm. I always reach out to them first.
Figure out a few things before I actually do so if we don't come to an agreement or something like that. That's awesome. Do you mind if I ask you a few quick questions? Almost kind of like a fire round.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
A fire round? What you call it? Like, I don't even know what it's called.
Fire round sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We'll go with that.
What do you believe separates excellent from average?
Passion.
I wanted to keep asking questions. Like, no, that's too good. Do you have a favorite failure that you believe has set you up for success?
A favorite failure? My failure to believe in myself. I think in that not believing in myself, I had to regroup and I had to take a look at that person behind the mask. And that helped me push forward to the success I found today. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I dig that mask exercise.
Yeah, it was really cool. You know, obviously it made an impact because I'm like almost 41 and that was 6th grade and it's still like right here.
True.
So it was a big moment for me.
I think it's such a cool activity. You know what I told Lacey Crime? Because she's so good at what she does.
Yeah, but she doesn't know she is. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm on her.
Yeah, 100%. And she's crushing it. And I actually put it on one of her posts, like as a comment. I said, how cool would it be that somebody turns in their poem to you?
And you make it into an image.
Yeah.
I saw your comment.
Did you?
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, give me one of yours. I was like, ah. And I kind of like.
I didn't mean me. I meant somebody that
went
wasn't
into a room
me.
and closed the door and like just ignored the whole conversation. But man, how cool would that, like, when it would be cool to maybe even some of those believe in me, not believe in myself poems that you've written back in the day. Maybe
have them illustrate it
and have her like draw it, like, because she's so good at what she does.
Yeah,
and her visualization of things.
She's really awesome, and she's even offered to work with my daughter because my daughter paints and stuff. And my daughter is like my emo child. Like, she's very into herself. She's like me when I was in that moment.
Right.
And I see her art as being her outlet the way my writing was mine, and I'm trying to build on that. And Lacey's offered to help her with that. So yeah, she's amazing with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think you could maybe give her one of your poems and she draw it?
Possibly.
I think that'd be cool. I just don't want to be that person. I'm trying
to
get someone else to do it.
Over on me.
What have you gotten better to saying no to?
What have I gotten better to saying no to?
Mm-hmm.
People that aren't the right fit for me. I used to say yes to everyone because I just saw everything as an opportunity, but everything is not an opportunity. Some opportunities can actually set you back. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten better at discernment and figuring out, is this really good? Just because someone wants me to do something doesn't mean I should.
Yeah. And be okay with saying no.
Yeah. And be okay with it.
Yeah.
And don't regret it. Because I was at that point too. I would say no and then be like, oh, I should have just went ahead and did it.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. But no is a firm no now. And I'm good with that.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. What profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
I've had a few, so I don't know. I used to write obituaries, so I've pretty much done just about everything. I was a paralegal, so yeah, I don't know. Other than my own.
What would my obituary sound like?
I don't know. You want to know something funny that happened, though?
Not now.
No, I was right.
Not if it's this subject.
No, I was writing an obituary, and it wasn't until the very end of like a 6-page obituary, because they submit the words and you just kind of put them together. That helped with my writing too, because I had to like take people's little factoids of something's life and then just put it into like a make sense kind of thing. And it wasn't until the very end where she said, and that's why we will miss Fluffy so much, that I realized it was like a dog.
Dang.
And I was reading that thing like, this dog had the best stinking life in the world, because I was envious right up until this last paragraph. Like, Fluffy went to Germany. Fluffy was like all over the place.
Wow.
So yeah, that obituary stint was hilarious. Some of the stuff people wrote, and it was like, this is your dog, okay?
Man, who was it? There was I think it was who was it? Oh, this is my nerd side, and I'm about to get it wrong. He invented something for the good. Uh-huh. And a few people got a hold of it, and what they end up using this, I want to say it had ties to the atomic bomb. Okay. Right? And a lot of people died because of his invention. And something happened, and someone's going to chew me up when they hear this.
Because you're going to get it wrong.
I'm going to get it wrong. Something happened, and there was wrong news released that he died. And
so they started like
his obituary, what people said about him, like the king of death and stuff like that.
And so he got to actually see that because he wasn't actually dead?
Yes. So he decided to change what he was known for. He got to actually see what people remember.
What people truly thought about him.
And guess who it was? It's the Nobel Prize guy. He's the one.
And so it was now like a life change moment, because he was like, that's not what I want people.
Maybe his last name was Noble, then that's the guy. Possibly. But he decided that he's now going to give out like these things for people who change the world and humanity in a good light. He got a hack into changing what he was remembered for.
That's crazy. I don't know if I want to know what people would say about me.
A little bit.
Kind of. Like, you hope it's all good, but you know there's going to be some of those people that'll just say like whatever. Well,
yeah. But like that was the majority.
The majority of his was there because that's what they knew him for, or that was what his legacy was going to be.
That's crazy,
so he changed his legacy based on that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good little nugget of knowledge.
Got it off of I think it was Vsauce on YouTube. Cool. Straight up nerd channel.
Oh, but I'm like total like
dude, Vsauce all day.
I'm History Channel. Like yeah, I'll sit and watch a documentary all day long. All day.
Purchases of less than $100 that have most improved your life.
The little ring thing on the back of my phone that popped me. That thing is awesome. Yeah.
Like one of these things? Oh, 100%.
And then my tripod, because I got it on Amazon on like Prime Day, so it was under $20. Most of my stuff is gonna be most of my stuff.
I see what you did there.
I wasn't trying
that was
to do
that thing right
that was like
there.
an accident. I didn't mean it. But most of my stuff is tech gear, like gadgets and stuff. So yeah, that you said 5 things?
No, just one.
Oh yeah. So like most of my stuff is techie stuff. I'm a gadget girl. Yeah. I like anything that makes it easier for me to do something is awesome for me. Right. Like you can ask if people see me cover events. Like I do media cover. I'll do the live social for an event. Cause if you're putting on an event, sometimes you can't be on social cause you're doing whatever. So I'm that person that I'll show up and I'll do your social. But when I first started doing it, it was always so difficult cause I would have like power packs and I had a backpack and I was trying to get everything. And my husband is military, former military. And they are like, are you military? Oh, they're like kings and queens of like jimmy rigging stuff or just finding stuff, and zip ties are like, we have zip ties all over.
That's all you hear all day.
All over. Like if you don't have it, it's not working. Where's the zip tie? You just like zip it up and make it work. Yep. So I had an event and I was just like so thoroughly aggravated because I need to I'm OCD. I need to function logically, smoothly. I need things to go a certain way or it throws me off. So like I couldn't find my stuff. My cord was like in the car and I was just like, I need some way to keep all of this stuff in hand. So I went on Amazon and I found, actually I was digging in my husband's stuff and I found like he had like this a camelback type thing. And I was like, this would work if I could like hook it on my belt, kind of like a fanny pack. But like, so I went online, I found one in black. I had TheMrsTee stitched on it by Kelly from Kelly. Yes, she's kind of awesome. Yep. And now I have all my gear in this little like army style back thing. It slides onto my belt and I'm like a walking tech person. So stuff like that. And I think the bag was like $15.
Dang. Yeah, what's good is that you learned.
Yeah, and that's always like every time I do an event or I cover something and something goes difficult or goes wrong, I'm like, how can I fix that for next time? Yeah. Yep. I don't want to deal with this another time. Nope. So how can I make this different? Yeah, exactly. And my husband always complains because I'll come home from covering something with a list of stuff that I want to get for the next time.
He's like, we can do that with a zip tie. We can do that with a zip tie.
We can zip tie that. We can zip tie that. And you're good. Yeah. Just go get the bag of zip ties. We're good.
Yeah. Which is also under $100, right?
Yeah,
and changes your life. So since I've kind of peppered you with questions, what question do you have for me?
Oh.
See what I did there?
That's kind of stinking awesome. Okay. So were you always, like I shared with you how I used to be this person and now I've found myself in this other person. Yeah. Were you always this super positive, super energetic person? Or did you find that through some moment in your life? And if so, what was that moment?
Found it. No. There was a small crew I hung out with growing up, and it wasn't the right crew. Mm-hmm. I just decided, after my first daughter, I got custody when she was 3 weeks old. Wow. So that was my big changing moment. Like, I can't.
I have to grow up.
I got to do something. And I was 19. Yeah. Right? And I was like, I got to do something, right? So that was the big change, that something's got to change. Mm-hmm. Worked at UPS for 12 years. So I started seeing where the parents weren't home or the drivers were getting fired to go to like a baseball game. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got to change this. And it was just it was a bunch of, and it took me years and years and years and years and years and years to make the jump. But I'm glad I did. I was never high. I wasn't like out there like this. But I knew I had to be if real estate was going to be the ticket to take me out of UPS. People got to know you. Mm-hmm. And so I decided that I was going to join the biggest church here, which was Manna Church, and I was going to be a greeter. And
you put your... I used to be a greeter. Yeah? I was a greeter from 17 to like 22. And you had to be like, good morning.
Yep. Yep. And you got to answer questions. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I screwed up so bad over and over and over and over. That quick stop right across the street is almost guaranteed to have one.
Like sending people into a storage closet. Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it.
Well, see, what happened was, but it took a lot of messing up and figuring this thing out to get out there and start to realize that nobody cares. No. Nobody cares if you screw up in a conversation. Matter of fact, the people that you want to be with don't care.
Exactly.
What is it? It's say what you want and do what you feel, because the ones who mind don't matter. Mm-hmm. and the ones who matter don't mind. And like that, I had to watch and get like my mindset straight and completely change who I was, how I talked, how I walked, to be I guess a product you see today, which will probably change in the next 5-10 years. I'll learn a little bit more.
But that's the awesome thing. We should all be ever changing.
Yeah.
You should always be developing in some way, in some form, at some level in your life. Because if you don't, then that means you're getting stagnant, and stagnancy just brings death and no growth, and you just start to sit there and you just level out. And I don't want to level. I think that's one of my biggest fears as a business person. I was sharing with someone the other day how you know how you ask for success and you want the success, and then when it starts coming, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I don't know. And it's like a fear of success almost, because you start thinking, can I really handle this type thing? And then
am I going to screw all this up?
Exactly. Am I worthy of this? Can I really handle it? Maybe I talk too much about myself and I'm not really right where I thought I was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, without that fear, I don't have anything to push me into it, because if I felt completely comfortable, I would just chill. Yep.
So there's something I've created. By the way, I have acronyms up the yin yang.
One thing, I've heard a few of them from Lacey. Yeah, I'm just like, that sounds like a Rubenism right there.
One is PC, right? So like anytime that you feel that you need to do something or get outside your comfort zone, you got to run a PC, right? A P is a promise. You got to make a promise to yourself and then to someone else. Your kids, your spouse, your best friend, the one who's going to look at you and kind of shake their head that you didn't do it.
You have to have somebody to hold you accountable.
Right. Someone who's it's going to hurt. Like to go and apologize to that person.
And say, my bad, I didn't do it.
Right. Promise. And then the C is a calendar. You got to go ahead and set that in motion. Even if you don't have everything ready, you got to throw it on the calendar. You got to make the commitment. And running a PC, it's going to be very uncomfortable, but it will push you to keep moving to the next level. To the next level, to the next level.
I don't think an entrepreneur can have a comfortable place. Like, you have to have that push all the time.
Yep. Dude, and you'll find that a lot of people self-sabotage themselves because they're in this good mode, and then they start to feel uncomfortable with the comfortable. And they have to move into a different area, even if they feel that there's going to be failure on the other side of that. That you'll start to see that. And I know I've done it to myself before.
And see,
but it's always worked out.
Like, you're good, because I'm the other side of that sometimes though. Like I'm that I need to see the logic and everything. So I need to see almost into the future before I can make that jump, because I need to know, okay, this is how this is gonna work. But you're right, there are certain times though where I'm just like, you know what, I just gotta jump for it, because I planned as much as I can possibly plan. I've done all I can do. I just gotta do this. And it's those moments where I see the most success. The moments where I step outside of what my normal response would be. Yeah. The times where I've said yes to things I would normally say no to based on my own fears. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yeah, and I'll figure it out later. Those are the ones that have led to the most success. Yep. Run a PC too. Make a promise to that person that you're committing to, that you're going to do it, and you'll be there at a certain time, and throw it on your calendar. Yeah. Like, don't let them down. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's huge. So what question do you have for everybody who's listening? And then we'll end on that. Guys, I don't know. What should I ask you? If you could do anything you wanted to do driven solely by passion, what would it be?
That. Like, whatever they just thought, it should be that.
Do it. That first response is exactly what you need to do. Yep. And now you need to get up and go get started on it. Make the plan, make it happen. Because your passion, I found that anything that's driven by passion walks you right into your purpose.
Yep. No matter how uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Where can people find you to share with you their successes after running that play?
At TheMrsTee across all social media.
So easy to say it that way.
So easy.
And what was the website again? One more time.
It's TheMrsTee.com. So TheMrsTee.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing up here today. You have crushed it. I know people have taken some things away and they're going to run with it. And I just want to say thank you for us being able to sit down and be able to do this.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of awesome. Now I can say I've been unproven by Ruben. Woo-hoo. What? I'm going to add that to my list of achievements.
Yo, let's do it. Thank you.
Thanks.